Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel for yet another No Man's Sky video. This one's going to be a really quick one, and it's kind of an off-the-cuff thing. I haven't really sort of planned out how I wanted to structure this. It's simply, I was on YouTube yesterday, and I came across a post of a guy who had unlocked the Boundary Herald over there, the new ship, and he'd shown his stats, and the stats because he'd upgraded it, and the stats on there he had like 400 damage and like 300 shield, and like 1800 maneuverability, and like 1800 hyperdrive, and like 1300 maneuverability. And like I was looking at the comments in that video, and all of these people were like, "Oh my goodness, how did you get such incredible stats? Please share your build," as if that was like the second coming. And I remember looking at his stats thinking, "Wow, they're a bit shit." I've smashed that completely because I haven't even really gone into much depth on it. I only kind of just put my basic setup in the ship. So I thought, hey, if people were getting excited about those shitty stats, then I'll just show you how I've set up my Boundary Herald. So if you would like to actually have even better stats, then you can just copy that shit. And I'll show you a couple of other ships as well. Just give you, because once you know your way around this, it's really, really simple. I don't know how he managed to get such low stats in the first place. So anyway, Boundary Herald. The way I've set mine up, and I'm in no doubt that I could probably have gotten these stats a little bit higher if I'd really kind of given a toss. But okay, so there, 460, 319, 1800 hyperdrive, 1800 maneuverability. All right, so and that's not even especially high. It's very simple. This is how I've done it. So I've focused the majority of the supercharged slots into the maneuverability, which I actually do for most of my ships, to be honest. I mean, that's a relatively low stat for me. A lot of my ships have got that stat, the maneuverability, up to about 2,700. So if you think this is good, nah. this is an overall average ship. It's got kind of reasonable stats across the board, but these are not high stats. I'll show you some fucking high stats in a minute. So yeah, focus predominantly on these. Now obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, obviously you want to try and group shit together. The more of these that are actually touching, the more of a boost you'll get, and you know, one is not always as good as another. You know, you want to set them up in certain ways to get the most out of them. I could move these around. Like I could take this sublight amplifier or this charged neutrino injector, sort of plonk them here, for example. You might think it's going to be the same because it's all the same block of bits all put together, but it will have a marked effect on maneuverability, and it will change it. I mean, if I were to do that, that would probably ramp that down to about 1400, 1500. So there is an element of getting the right shit. You want to look at what these things are giving you, and then, you know, they will all have an adjacency bonus. So anyway, yeah, we've got 3 of the technology supercharged slots there for that, and I've put 1 of them on the hyperdrive. And I'll tell you what, this hyperdrive, this is not a good range. Like 1800, I don't really care too much about hyperdrive range personally. So yeah, like I could have set this up in such a way that it would be much better. Like this is not effective, having like the line here. I mean, yeah, it's all touching, but really you want it more like this. I just done this because it's tidy. Like, it's my OCD, and I didn't really care. 1800 hyperdrive, that'll do me. And you know, I've only put a couple of different weapons on there. We went with the infra knife in this case, which has given me what, 27,500 DPS on the infra knife. We've got the phase beam, which I'll probably never use, but it's a good shield restorer. And obviously I've also got the proton or the photon cannon for, you know, 7,000 DPS, but again, probably never going to use it. All the basics, obviously, you got the usuals, your economy scanner. They're all everything. I always just stick everything on these bad boys. But yeah, that's how I've set it up. So I'll stop scrolling around on it, leave it there for a second, scroll it down. Oh, God, let's scroll it down so you can see what's in it. So that's the Boundary Herald. But honestly, I mean, you can extrapolate this to any of the ships, really. I mean, I'd say probably my living ships aren't the best examples, because living ships use different mods. I'll show you. So, like, you know, yes, all of my ships are maxed out. They're all S rank. They've all got every single mod you could possibly have. But the ones on these living ships, obviously, unless you have a living ship, these won't make much sense to anybody. But and yeah, this one's actually got quite low maneuverability. There's so much you can do with the living ships. They're more cool than anything else. Let's see. But you know, jump in that one. 2,100 on maneuverability, 1,400. What else we got? Dooby. Again, 2,000, 1,400. And you'll find that, yeah, these are all set up same sort of way. Again, you want the adjacency bonuses. You'll find here, I've got one supercharge there. I'll have another supercharge there. Probably, yeah, 3 there. So of the 4 supercharged slots that this thing had available, I've put 3 of them on the maneuverability. What would I have put the last one on? This being a Sentinel ship, probably, yeah, here we are, cannon. Because, you know, it's a fighter. Didn't really give a toss about hyperdrive range yet again, as you can kind of see. But yeah, I generally don't. Let's see. Annoyingly, it only puts a few of your ships here. So let's see if we go on to one of my. What was it called? That? There you go. 2,200, 1,300. It's a fucking nice ship, that one as well. And again, set up the same way. Just it's all about that adjacency bonus and just putting the right stuff in the right place. And the same can be said for everything. Same with the exosuit. You see where I've got that set up. My guy's fucking immortal. Like literally, he's immortal. I go stand in a extreme storm. I can just go I'll go put the kettle on. I don't need to worry. I've got so many bars of protection. I've got the max for everything. This guy's jetpack. It's like I can pretty much get into orbit. His health lasts for weeks. You know, again, adjacencies. It's all. That's how you do it with all of them. Do the same thing with the multi-tools. However you want to set them up. Your exocraft, where relevant, although that's Nautiloid, which is shit. And the same goes with the freighter. Although obviously these are slightly harder to get your hands on. But yeah, so that's how I've set that up, and that's how I set up all my ships really. You know, you want those kind of stats. Focus predominantly on maneuverability. I find that's the best one because, you know, when you've got that kind of maneuverability, it gives you a lot of benefits. So I mean, again, I suppose it helps to know what these stats do. Of course, that's not really helping because it's messing up. So we'll jump back out of that. Maybe go back to the Boundary Herald as an example. Assuming that it's going to give me back my stats. No, it's not. That's fucking annoying. Okay. Well, we know what the stats are. So damage potential is pretty straightforward. That's kind of self-explanatory. It's just how much your overall, and it doesn't relate directly. As I say, I've got 459.7. What does that mean? Fuck knows. You know, this gun is doing 27,500 DPS. So work it out. You know, the higher that number, the more damage that your weapons are going to do. Generally, ships in a fighter category will be in the 400s, maybe up to 500. I think is max I've got. You know, but the ones that are more combat focused might be sitting around the 350, 380, that kind of area once you've maxed them out. The Boundary Herald is actually a pretty good all-rounder. The shield, again, pretty self-explanatory. The higher that figure, the better your shield. Hyperdrive, again, obviously that will dictate how far you can jump with each jump, and what your hyperdrive fuel efficiency would be. So, you know, how much fuel you'll burn through with each jump, I believe. And then the last one, which is maneuverability, I find to be the one that you should really be, from my perspective at least, you know, the way I play, is the one that I really focus on. Because this does a bunch of different things. It affects how fast you fly in general. So, you know, the speed that you're getting around, moving about, that obviously has a knock-on effect with everything that you do. It affects how maneuverable in terms of steering, turning, etc. your ship is. I mean, you know, you guys have all I'm sure, flown around in like beginner ships. It's like driving a fucking school bus. And once you actually get your maneuverability up high, you can just, dance around the head of a needle on these things. So the higher that stat is, obviously, the more generally maneuverable the ship is in the sort of general maneuverable sense. But the other thing as well is it increases exponentially your pulse drive speed and your pulse drive fuel efficiency. If you stop and think about how much time you spend pulse driving in this game, from planet to planet, planet to space station to anomaly, pulse drive for this, pulse drive for that. Having, first off, really good fuel efficiency on that is excellent, which is why prior to getting this, but probably my favorite class of ship overall is actually the sail ships, the solar sailors, because they actually have unbelievable pulse drive efficiency. Like they practically fill their pulse drives up as they fly, so it will go down very, very slowly, but like their pulse drive will last 4, 5, 6 times as long as any other ship, before it needs to be filled up again. So really, really useful for the practicalities of flying about, and they happen to be really cool looking ships. It also affects the speed of pulse drives. I couldn't tell you how many times I kind of party up with people doing like anomaly missions and stuff like that, and like, we'll get into a system. Let's say they get into a system first and they start pulse driving towards the planet, and then I come in and it does the bit where you got to give it a second before it actually shows you where the thing is, and then it identifies the planet. And by the time it's done that, they're already halfway there, and I'll start my pulse drive and I will fucking fly past them so quickly it's like light. Where they're pootling along, and I will zip past them so quick that I'll have landed and gotten half the mission done before they even hit the planet. And I'm pretty much, everybody I play with is nowhere near as fast as me when it comes to getting around. And I'm not saying like my ships are the fastest out there. I'm just saying of the people that I play with, and people I have played with, and that comes down to that maneuverability. All right, because I put my emphasis onto that, I can just smoke anything, and it makes a big difference moving through the game. It makes everything a lot quicker. You can move around a lot easier. You don't have to keep on refilling your fuel all the time. So that's how I focus it. That's not always going to be the case for everyone. Some people might want to put the majority of their focus onto combat, for example, put it all into weapons. But what's the point? I mean, genuinely, I mean, any of my ships, even my least combat focused ship, which will probably have a damage potential of about 380, could rinse through a Sentinel, or through like one of these cap ships in a matter of about 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Wipe out an entire fleet of ships without even fucking thinking about it. So you don't need that extra couple of points in there really for the damage. It's like, I can kill a ship in 1 second as opposed to 2. No, I'd rather be able to get to a planet in 1 second as opposed to 10. And so that's why I focus mainly on maneuverability. But as you can see, the rest of the stats are still pretty high anyway. But anyway, yeah, those are the stats. That's how I've done it. That's so there it is. That was the whole point of the video. So if people wanted to see how to get some higher stats on their Boundary Herald, they could do. FYI, if any of you guys would like a tips and tricks video, I've been contemplating it. Just putting together a handy guide for sort of new players, give you an idea of how you can get to this sort of 3.5 billion credits, 160,000 nanites, etc. I'm happy to do that. If anyone would like guides on how to make billions and billions of units extremely quickly and that type of thing early game, yeah, just pop a comment in. I'm happy to do one, because I've got like 800 hours in this game collectively, 500 or 600 in this save alone. So yeah, I think I probably know my way around the game pretty well at this point, and can certainly give some tips. So yeah, if that would be handy for anyone, by all means, pop a comment in, and I'll get a video done. But anyway, that's the Boundary Herald. That's how you do it. And for anyone who was uber excited about that previous person's video, well, there you go. You just improved your stats by 500 across the board. So congratulations. Anyway, take care, guys. Until next time.